What is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete strategy and welcome to Free Pete. What I'm doing on my second channel is I'm doing, amongst everything and anything I can think of, creating for you all the revamped Waiting on Your Best Behavior podcast. I'm very happy to have this conversation today with Truth Powers. How are you, Truth?
What's up, guys? Doing
Welcome,
good.
man. Welcome. I'm so glad to sit down and have a conversation with you. Truth is a clever young man who would like to help me dig into some of my beliefs and probably share some of his own along the backdrop of the game of Risk, which has brought us all together. So, why don't we start with a bio? Who are you? How would you introduce yourself?
I would introduce myself as probably the greatest Risk player of all time.
Humble.
That would be ideal.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, no. I'm Truth Powers. I like Risk. Who doesn't, right? Uh, it's just one of my hobbies. Trying to get into it, do some streaming, do some uploading on YouTube. I might get into Catan as well. Uh, I haven't won any championships yet, but I have made it to the Legends finals once. I forget which season that was. I think it was second season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hopped on here to talk to Pete, have some fun. Let's do it.
And you are a young man.
I'm young. Yes, I'm 17.
This I'm sure comes as a surprise to many people who have interacted with you because you don't necessarily come off that way. And you got
I
that
get mixed
real
opinion.
deep voice too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to talk deep so that I sound manly.
Okay, so it's all artifice.
It's all fake. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
And you
I get
are
mixed opinions from people. Some people say that they find me younger. Some people say they find me older. So
yeah. I mean, and everyone gets their own special little slice of you too.
yeah,
And you are an American.
I'm an American,
Okay.
Florida,
How did you
Florida man.
come? Oh, lucky you, man. How did you come to Risk?
I always liked it. I learned it at a very young age. Played the board game with my dad. He taught me how, and then I found this this tricky little game that they made. Um, Played it a few times, and then I got off of it. Every once in a while, I'd download it and play with my cousin. I play with like friends, family, and then eventually I just kept playing it because I found it so fun. And then I joined the Risk Discord and kept going from there. Started playing tournaments and yeah, can't stop.
Awesome. And I saw you were grinding on the leaderboard again.
Yeah, man, it's so depressing because I got first yesterday,
Yes.
and then this dude suicided into me,
What did
which
I
allowed
tell you, dude? You're gonna lose a game, right? It hurts when it finally happens.
I lost 2,000 points on one
Right.
game.
Which was how many rank
Uh,
points?
that took me down to fourth that day, but now I'm down to fifth. Sucks.
All right, let's go. Good luck, everybody.
All right,
Fifth
hope
place in
to
the
see you.
world, though. You know, this is the lament, of course. We're only only fifth in the entire world. But I understand there's a lot of asterisks associated with the ranking system, and we can talk about it or not. I mean, I got my rank one way back when, and I'm under no illusion of that being all that meaningful in terms of skill, but it definitely was meaningful in terms of um, just showing the community at large that I was willing and able to put in the time required to be considered one of those people.
Yeah,
Yeah, which
yeah, I'm gonna.
I guess you're working on now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hold first. No guarantees, you know. I have limited time, but I think anybody can do it if they put in the work.
Yeah, it's a 60-day season.
Yeah.
2 months of your life doesn't sound that much of a commitment. If you have the settings, I'm not going to ask you to expose your settings on this show, but that is obviously
All
a major part of it.
if anybody wants my settings exposed, all they have to do is see me play because I stream.
Yeah, go check out Truth on Twitch. I'll obviously link to your work in the show notes, and you're on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Awesome.
Haven't I think I've uploaded like 5 videos, so I haven't done much yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good luck
Get
with
that.
that journey, and I've always been very motivated to help grow the game, and one of the ways is I like win-win, so help grow other content creators' work. Rising tide raises all ships. So I'm very happy to help you in that journey in any way that I can.
Appreciate that.
Do not love my start here. I don't want to hit a 5v2. Okay, that was better. Okay, so we have the normal format for the show is an interview style show. Truth kind of came to me and said I'd like to do the podcast, so I'm guessing you had a couple of things on your mind that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things, that I've heard, and I just wanted to ask a few questions about differing opinions that I might have. Like
Go ahead.
I've heard things on like lawyers. You don't like lawyers.
Sure.
Um, I've heard I've heard I've heard that you find like our system, like the society that we live in right now, comparable to slavery.
Okay.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I do
Maybe
use
that's
the
a good starting point.
okay, sure. Ask a
Mhm.
specific question.
Yeah, so you seem to compare what we're living in right now to slavery. So what characteristics of society today make you feel that way?
Sure. So my thinking towards freedom is you are as free as your mental constraints, right? The very best cage to be in is the one with invisible bars. Um, so we find ourselves on average the most free people probably in history. So we lead with that, right? This is not an indictment of the status quo. The status quo is wonderful compared to what it has been. It just happens to be shitty compared to what it could be.
Mhm.
So to sit and say, this is the correct state of affairs, this is the way things should be, and let's languish in this forever because we've already won, is lazy.
Mhm.
And I'm very motivated to work on the ways that certain structural inequalities still exist and persist. And one of those ways is debt slavery.
Debt slavery. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So if anyone understands how banks make their money, why are the two tallest buildings in any given major city in the world banks and insurance companies? That is a rhetorical question. These entities are in the business of making money, but banks mostly make money off of money. They don't necessarily add a ton of value to the system. So the way that money is created is often through a process called fractional reserve lending, where a bank will put debt on its balance sheet and it will lend money out at interest
Mhm.
that it doesn't necessarily hold in reserve. Usual reserve requirements are something like 10%. So a bank actually only holds about 10% of its given deposits in currency, and it lends 100% of its purported deposits at interest. Where does the money to pay that interest come from?
From the people.
Comes from inflation. It comes from
Oh,
devaluing the currency that exists. Yes, from the people it
okay,
does.
wait, okay.
Indirectly comes. Go ahead. Yeah, stop me.
So, okay, a little bit, not entirely, like I'm not an economist, so I don't really know
Yep.
too much, but so banks are there to allow people to have money that they don't have, right? So in order for like anybody to start a business or something and they don't
Yes,
have the money to do it, like they will go to a bank and they will get an investment
that is
uh
one of the
by
functions of a bank. Yes.
right. Okay,
Yep.
so what functions are you not all right with?
It's not about
What
me
about
being all
you?
right with. I mean, I'm taking an analytical approach to the system, right? So perhaps it's hyperbolic language to use the juxtaposition of slavery, but I think there are a ton of people in our society who are in a very real way, not free because of their debts, right? Because of
Mm.
their mortgages, because of maybe they took out a bad business loan. Maybe they took out student loans for some degree that doesn't even necessarily provide them with a higher income than working a fast food job or whatever. And apparently the U.S. Has decided in their infinite wisdom that student loans are not able to be discharged with bankruptcy. Did I learn this? Seems like one of the most twisted ways to keep people enslaved forever. Because if you owe debt on your money, right, you're always borrowing against your future. So it scares me. It's like I've been risk averse typically, and that is a pun, throughout my financial life, because I'm really careful to act in a way that makes me as free as possible. And the more people I owe, the less free I am. And in reverse, I hate when people owe me money, right? I want to get that paid off.
So is it that you find it like not moral that these banks are profiting off of other people's downfall? Is that the issue?
Well, I mean, to attack the system at a moral level is almost juvenile.
Hmm.
The system is, right. The world is. There is no morally correct. I'm mostly amoral when I take an analytical approach of a system. I don't presume to tell you how things should be. I think that's awfully arrogant. And I notice people moralizing a lot. And fair enough, there are some human universals. Like, it's generally considered that rape and murder are terrible for good reason. Right?
Yeah.
But is the murderer, is the rapist a bad person? Well, there are a ton of systemic causes to why they might behave a certain way. And I think the good versus evil dichotomy of hypermoralizing and saying, this guy's a bad person. The concept of a good and a bad person, right? Like it's not all that meaningful. We're both, right? We have good and evil inside of us all the time.
I feel like it serves a purpose to label like good and bad on a person. Like if they're doing something that is considered immoral and they do something like that constantly, then when you label them as a bad person, all you're saying is this is a person that does things which I consider immoral.
Yeah.
And I mean that serves a function. Like it explains how you think of them in relation to like how you want society to work, right? But so back to the banks. So wouldn't you say that that there is like a degree of self-responsibility that people need to have in order for society to function right? Because if you're saying like this person is enslaved in their debt because they made a bad decision and it shouldn't be that way. I can't think of another way that it could be fixed other than saying this person's personal responsibility is going to be overruled.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel
no
works, right?
Yeah, there's no disagreement there. It's we all will make mistakes. My point is that these systems are in fact predatory. So the way I would think about it is, if the function of money in the economy is to facilitate exchange of goods and services, right? Then the question of whether or not that function should be performed at a profit will certainly not be something that would ever be discussed in any of the systems that benefit from the status quo. Why are banks run for profit? Why are banks not utilities?
Because they're in a capitalist system.
Sure.
The only way that you're motivated to do something is if you're making money off of it, right?
Okay.
People
Well,
aren't motivated out of.
imagine if we were able to, and this is just an imaginary, right? This is a hypothetical. Imagine if we were able to get the benefit of the VIG of inflation in lieu of paying taxes. Sure, we could. Okay, so in lieu of taxation, imagine, you know what a VIG is? The interest rate? A VIG.
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, so it's a simplistic term for an interest rate. So
Okay.
if the mob boss lends you out money at 10 points, right? The VIG is 10%. So, these banks are acting as legalized. They're legal, and money lending like the mob isn't, right? So there's legal justification for the money lending that is only legitimized because it's legal.
Mhm.
Right. So certain things are acceptable, certain things aren't acceptable. We have found ourselves in a system where, ooh, I guess I die. We found ourselves in a system where we cannot. Sure, it's the game. Ask the question again. I failed to talk. My guests usually suffer from this.
It's hard to focus during a
No,
game.
you'll get me. You'll probably easily be able to kill me now.
Yeah.
What was the original question?
So if we deny personal responsibility for things like uh accepting a loan with a high interest rate that ends
Mhm.
up like putting this person into
Yeah. If
like
you're
unrecoverable
broke,
debt.
sure, if you're
Mhm,
broke and you have no choice,
mhm,
to what extent were you free to make that decision? If you're on the street and you're starving,
mhm,
you're going to take that money because you're not going to live tomorrow. You don't care about the debt right now because you're dead. You might as well take the money, right? So there is a personal responsibility element to the equation, certainly. But if we live in an inherently predatory system, which I would argue it pretty much obviously is, right? Like the rich
mhm.
keep getting richer for a reason. So why are we not talking about system redesign and shouting it from the rooftops? I'm not sitting here
Uh,
telling you I'm smarter than anyone and I don't have all the
yeah.
answers, but the part of the conversation I like to harp on about is we need to be talking about fixing the system structurally.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, my question is, how do we fix it with like, because I feel like if we deny personal responsibility for things like loans, what other route can you take to fix the system other than denying personal responsibility, which is required in order for people to have any sort of like I don't know, like how do you function in a society without personal responsibility for
You do,
things like debt?
certainly not. You never take personal responsibility off the table. I wouldn't suggest that. That's
Mm,
not what I'm saying. What I'm
mhm,
saying is the Rawlsian idea of the decent minimum has to come into play as an overarching ethic. So John Rawls has this idea that he uses a thought experiment called the veil of ignorance. And he basically says, if you were born into a society and you were able to choose what society you were born into from behind a veil of ignorance, every person would choose to be born into the most equal society possible. Do you like that? Pick at that? Agree, disagree? What do you think before we go on?
Uh, so it depends on what you mean by equal.
Sure.
Like, if you mean by everybody has the same,
Economic inequality.
so essentially, there's two different types of equal. So
Mm,
wait one second,
yes.
let me take my turn.
Yes.
So there's equal and like everybody has the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like all have the exact you're forcing everybody to have the exact same lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then you have another type of equal where everybody has an equal opportunity
Yeah.
to get a certain type of lifestyle. So it depends on
Correct.
which one you're talking about.
Sure. Well, what Rawls is talking about with the veil of ignorance example is more equality of opportunity, but
Mhm,
also the issue of income inequality, the issue that we find ourselves in some ways one of the most unequal societies in history. Um, the simple point he's making is you would choose if you could, right? If you didn't know whose body and whose life you were being born into, you would choose the most equal for both, right? Both
And
outcome and opportunity, if you could choose.
okay, so I'm not sure on the exact term. So uh, equality of opportunity is saying like you have the equal opportunity to get a certain type of goal, right? And
Yes,
then equality. What's the
outcome,
contrasting?
outcome.
Equality of outcome, which
The
is
in your example
or
where people are forced to live equal lives that
mm,
don't necessarily, it's the worst of the two, right? You find yourself,
Yes.
like someone of genius level intellect, billionaire earning potential XYZ finds themselves in a circumstance where they are. There's a short story by Vonnegut, Harrison Bergeron, where he makes a really good sort of animated hyperbolic version of this world, like a dystopia of equality of outcome. Like the main character's mother is, or I think it's his mother, might be his father. One of them is forced to wear earphones that randomly blast out loud noises because she's more intelligent than the average. So it dumbs her down. Right. So
Okay.
that is the obvious counter, right? The obvious hellscape that could come from too much of equality of outcome.
I'm sorry. I'm having trouble focusing because a lot has happened.
And he's trying to win the game too, folks. We're asking a lot of truth powers. Oh boy.
That's the only way I could break green, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here we go. This over here. Okay. So start again. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I had the exact same thing happen to me, right? It's a shitty format for a podcast, but we try our best, folks. So juxtaposition is there is equality of outcome where everyone is forced to end up with the same, more or less. And then there's equality of opportunity where people are given the same chances or as close to the same chances to succeed. So
yeah, I would almost certainly never choose the latter, the equality of outcome.
right, it seems terrible. Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyways, Rawls's point is that if we were born into a society from behind a veil of ignorance, we would want that society to be as equal as possible. So nested inside that was the answer to what you were asking, right? You're saying, well, how do we deal with personal responsibility? How do we deal with people making bad decisions if they are not responsible to their actions? I say, absolutely, we do not. We make sure people remain responsible to their actions, but we as a collective society owe it to every individual to provide them with a decent minimum. And that's where Rawls comes in with his other sort of big idea. What is a decent minimum?
Mhm.
And how does society provide it?
Mhm. All right, I have no clue.
Neither do I. And again, these
Yeah.
are big ideas. I don't sit here and pontificate and tell anyone how they should think or what they should believe. But this is the way I thread that needle between knowing that our world could be better if we cared about each other a little bit more, and also knowing that, yeah, people are going to fuck up and they're going to be greedy and they're going to be stupid and they're going to make mistakes. And that's normal and that happens all the time.
So how do we know that it is possible? Like, okay, assuming like our current technology, our current understanding, how do
2023.
we know? Yeah, how do we know it's possible to achieve something like that if we don't even have an idea on how to do it?
Okay, so I would argue that we could be cynical and conclude that it isn't possible, but that is essentially suicidal.
Just like me.
Too bad. One more. Oh, he
I
gets
didn't
you.
see the 10.
He gets you. GG, man.
Oh no.
This is fine. Now we'll actually be able to talk without being distracted.
Yeah.
2 hotshots getting eliminated first. So, yeah, I don't presume to sit here and tell you that it is possible. This is an aspirational thing, right? I just think that if we, as a human species on Earth, continue to become more technologically advanced without spending an equivalent amount of energy trying to figure out how to become socially enlightened, how to become loving and generous to ourselves, not each other, right? We are one. There is only one humanity. So the rhetoric of us versus them that causes all of these artificial separations is super toxic and super counterproductive and only benefits, as we know, a tiny fraction of peoples, which keeps us fighting amongst ourselves, keeps us enslaved in this cyclical debt cycle, enslaved mentally, right? from being able to have these types of conversations intelligently, because someone is going to listen to this and they're going to misunderstand what I said. They're going to say Pete's a communist or Pete's an XYist or right? Well,
Guaranteed.
it's super, super easy to misunderstand someone who spends as much time as me sharing his thoughts on the internet. And they are iconoclastic, right? They are not the norm. I think about everything from the root of the logic, and also I am as wrong as anyone else all the time. But I'm absolutely passionately motivated to have these conversations publicly because I think it's the only way we can possibly solve these problems or even articulate what they are.
Okay. So I feel like there's three positions of this issue. There's number one,
Yep.
our system sucks and we can fix it. Number two, our system. Okay, I guess I added in a unnecessary proposition. Okay, we can change the system is
Yes.
number one.
Yes.
We can't change the system is number two. And then the third one is withholding judgment. So we don't know if we can change the system. And I would ask, do you think it's fair to criticize a system that you don't even know that you could change?
I think of the opposite. I think if you presume to know how to change something, you're probably wrong because you're probably not taking into account all sorts of complexities. The system we have is an iteration. It is mostly inertia, right? Born of how does the saying go? We have medieval institutions, Stone Age brains, and space age technology, right? Or whatever the new version of space age is. 21st century space age was still kind of avant-garde when I was young, but yeah, that dates me as well. So the thing I am saying is, I sit here humbly suggesting that the system we have is not utter shit. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that the system we have is absolutely the best one ever. There simply just are a ton of very obvious flaws in it. And there's a lot of idea suppression going on. And I'm not conspiratorially minded, but this is the part where I go, who benefits from the suppression of this idea? Why is it so difficult to talk about what to me are very simple concepts, like loving each other and being compassionate in a true way, in a systems way? Or like how everyone is being robbed blind by the banks and they don't necessarily see why that might be something that could be worked on collectively. Obviously the banks are going to rob you because I would.
I personally don't find the word rob to be like
it's not fair.
Fit the situation.
That's hyperbole.
I feel like
okay,
it fits the situation.
All right.
Because essentially, what's happening is instead of stealing your money, you're signing a paper agreeing to give them money.
Yeah.
And then they're just asking for it. You know, it's very different from robbing, in my opinion.
Well, tell that to someone who works minimum wage and maybe has child support payments and maybe has some kind of substance abuse or addiction issues and lives in an environment where, and maybe their car just broke and they got to put food on the table, right? So yeah, you are entering into a legally binding contract as an adult with your eyes open to some extent, but to suggest there isn't systemic coercion occurring as well, right, is a bit naive, yes?
You got a point, yeah.
That's the example that's the picture I'm trying to paint for you.
Yeah, like it isn't always as
right.
black and white as you entered the contract, therefore you like whatever. There is situations in which I would say it's kind of
do you want to hear a really scary stat?
Let's hear it.
I don't know what the exact demographic breakdown of the homeless population is, but it's overwhelmingly male. First of all, did you know that?
I'm not surprised. I didn't actually ever look at the the stats.
But here's the scary part. There is a enormous correlation between traumatic head injury and homelessness amongst homeless men. Like a ton of homeless men become homeless within 6 months of a traumatic head injury. Why?
Yeah. because a lot of the homeless population have mental illness issues, and
Sure, but why not women? What's the difference?
because men live in environments where it's more likely to have a sort of injury like that, I'm guessing.
Partially, I would say that's 100% true, right?
Mhm.
The prevalence of traumatic head injuries is much higher for men than for women, but I think there is a safety net, a societal safety net going on that is unequal, which is okay. We have a lot of things that are unequal, as we were talking about. We don't necessarily seek a equity society, or shouldn't.
Mm.
But I would say my conversation about the homeless, I use as an example a lot, because I think the idea that a single human being would be unable to be housed and clothed and fed on Earth in 2023, the idea that a single one would be homeless, should be seen as an absolute failure by every single person who exists, right? I don't understand how we do not think that this is the most important thing we should be working on.
I mean, I see a moral obligation to uh like take care of our fellow humans, but I point to me like where you feel like the is it, like once again, is it a moral thing? Is that what you're talking about, or why do they deserve to have? I'm not saying they don't, but
Yeah,
why do
yeah,
you think they deserve to have that sort of thing?
because they are me. I could be them. I could be living their by no other circumstance than luck.
Mm,
I could be in their life, living their story,
yeah.
right? Do I deserve my intelligence? Do I deserve my industriousness? Do I deserve the family, the education I was born into? Do I deserve a single thing that I have benefited? My privilege, which I hate using that word, but
Yeah.
it's apropos here.
Yes, it is.
Do I deserve any of it? No, certainly not.
Mm.
I deserve it no more than children deserve to get cancer, right? Ridiculous.
I
But
would say I would
go
say
ahead.
by deserve,
Yeah.
we're talking about like something that you've done to
Right.
get it. So,
Yep.
like, let's say somebody says you don't deserve to be an NBA player because
You're not tall enough. Yeah.
you were born like strong and skillful and stuff. Other people weren't born with that. Other people were born without legs. But it's like, yeah, but he worked so hard for it. So yes, he has an advantage, but he also deserves it in the sense that he worked hard to get into that spot,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of like lines where it's like, okay, you could say that, but there is a lot of work that people put into their situations, and there is a lot where people are just born lucky, you
And
know?
actually, that's somewhere where I think we have a moral obligation, to be honest. That's how I
Mm,
apply. Like, I take a deontological approach to that sort of thing. And I say, because I have this quote privilege, I owe it to all of those who have loved me, all of those who might benefit from my hard work, to work as hard as I can and be the most Pete, be the most successful, lead the best life I possibly can try to lead, not only for me, but in the hopes that my existence might better the world. That's sort of my ethical obligation as far as I see it.
so tell me if I'm stating your position correctly. So essentially you're saying that because we're all human and we all don't have everything, you know, we it's in our own self-interest to make society equal for everyone else because we are just as likely to be that person. So
Yes.
in a
Good.
sense, it's kind of the same as like selfish morality, where
Yes.
we're saying like
Yes.
we want because we value ourselves, we will value every other people. That's
Yes.
correct.
I'm a very big unity person. I think we are
Mm,
all the same. I think we would do much better as a group if we were able to recognize this. We're all one people, one
mm,
world, and we've split up into so many different names and colors and flavors and religions and beliefs, and the Hegelian dialectic, right? The idea that we can only understand the thing by defining its opposite. Cool, fair enough. That's the ape brain. I would hope that humanity could transcend the fact that we are upright apes into something that was, as I said, more generous, more loving, more collective, because we're going to produce, right? Like, as an organism, as an ape. I like going through this questioning.
Mhm.
You know, in biology, how
Mhm.
a species has an ecological niche.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you suppose is the ecological niche for man?
Smartness, big brains.
Cool. So we use our brains to invent things that
Mhm.
don't exist. Our ecological niche is that of mind.
Mhm.
So, follow that logic further. We are biologically certain to invent and create. It is the nature of what we do as an animal. Therefore, because we will progress towards something, but we don't agree on the definition of that progress, or can't agree, perhaps, which is the scarier, more cynical future. If we can't, then there's no point in having this conversation. But let's hope. How about I don't jump off my balcony right now, and let's hope that we can.
Mhm.
So why not? Let's try. And that's in my opinion, truth, the biggest problem facing humanity is there's no conversation going on that might lead to agreement on the definition of progress. Game 2?
Do it. Yeah.
Set up a game. I'm going to go pee. BRB.
All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, do it.
Do I come off as mostly coherent? Like, 'cause
There's
it makes
like,
sense in my head, right? But it's so hard to talk about.
dude, it's the same way for me, man.
Okay.
Like, you can. Our brains are more made for thinking rather than communicating. Communication is a lot newer than
It's hard too. Think
yeah.
about talking in public daily for years. Do you have a code, sir?
WHDAP. Yeah, so like this, I'm young, so I don't know a lot of things. I'm still seeping
Learning.
in knowledge. So there's a lot of words and different like concepts that I'm not familiar with, but I try my best, you know.
Yeah, so far so good.
So
You're asking good questions.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did do we have a way to bring people into
Yeah, I'm
the
pinging.
game here?
I'm pinging
Oh,
the Grandmaster Arena. I'm pinging the podcast server, and I'm pinging my own server.
okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
man. You can feel free to do so if you'd like, but just in case the viewers are wondering why Peteman's on his phone instead of paying attention
Oh yeah.
to truth,
Should
this
have
is why I'm pinging.
should have known.
Okay, so where were we in the conversation?
We were talking about equality,
That's a
but
fun one, eh?
probably best to move on to a new subject,
Yes.
which I would I would ask you probably next is lawyers.
Sure.
You said a lot about lawyers. It feels to me that you seem to view them in a negative light. Is that
Yeah,
right?
generally, yes. I think
Yeah.
almost all lawyers are morally compromised people, and on a fundamental level.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah, I
explain.
know, a very hot take, right? Very hot take.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, the issue I have with the lawgiver, is that it is very easy to create rules for other people, um, if you are the ones who create them. Right? It's very easy to create rules for other people that benefit you if you are the one who creates the rules. So we have the profession of lawyer in our society. It is not a public service, right? It is a very, very well paid job. And these people end up self reflexively working in government as well. So this cuts to my whole spiel about how, representational democracy is archaic, and the idea that executive leadership based decision making is still the norm. The idea that we have a tribal chief in charge of nations and in charge of companies, is an ancient and archaic and suicidal situation, right? We need to build systems of distributed decision making like yesterday.
Yeah, I would consider myself a libertarian, so I'm kind of on on par with that.
Cool.
I do value the voice of the people more than the voice of the elected people.
Let's
So,
go. Oh,
all right. Oh,
no.
there.
All right.
I usually give it like 5 to 10 seconds before to make sure
For
that
that exact
nobody's
reason.
leaving.
Yeah, for that
Yep.
exact reason. Okay, so you self-identify as libertarian.
Well, there is a lot of views on from the Libertarian Party. I wouldn't consider myself a libertarian in the sense that I identify with that party,
Yep.
but my ideals are a lot of the times matched to
As are mine.
theirs.
As are
Yep.
mine. Yep.
Mm. So okay, so on lawyers, I'm still a little bit
Sure. So
in the dark.
there's a component of self-interest that results in sullying the profession. Right? There's no way for most people who uphold the first of all, you're upholding an unfair system, right? You're upholding a fundamentally unjust system. So if we don't believe the system could be just, we don't really need to take the conversation further. So always nested in what I'm saying is the hope that the system could be more just, more fair, more equitable, however you want to think about it. And
Okay,
if
so
yep,
sorry, keep going. I'm sorry.
no, you go, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna ask. So, what about the system is unequitable? I guess,
Things that structurally disenfranchise people.
which would be
Um, the lack of that decent minimum, the lack of the idea that we should have built into the design safety nets for those so that they cannot fall so low that they find themselves in financial. You hear the term financial freedom. I mean, I don't really distinguish. Why would it be merely financial, right? Why wouldn't it just be freedom? So, if you can find yourself financially unfree, then you are effectively unfree.
okay. So, still a little bit in the
Sure.
dark.
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, I don't know how I can.
Someone
All right,
has
let
to
me let me
write
put my
the
two
someone
cents.
has to write the rules of the system.
Mm.
The person writing the rules of the system cannot exist outside of the system. So you end up in a circumstance where the lawgiver pats himself on the back and writes rules that make sure that their profession is able to charge hundreds of dollars an hour and, drive in the fanciest cars and live in the fanciest homes and be considered to be, honored professional, high socioeconomic status, right?
Okay, so your issue is with the amount that they pay. I mean, they cost.
Just well, similar to the banks, right? We have all of these different parasitic structures on our economy that don't necessarily produce a ton of value. I think a system of loving, ethical self-policing would result in, for the most part, right? Obviously, you still need laws, you still need rules, because some things are categorically always unacceptable. But the extent to which there are predatory industries for personal injury, there are predatory industries for human rights, there are predatory industries for divorce, for family law, right? You see these things exist in our economy, right? You see the way the legal profession tends to make most of its money. The legal profession was originally adversarial. This iterated from knights that would fight on behalf of the accused in medieval times, right? Our system in Canada is a direct descendant of the British common law, and in the United States is more of a less direct, but still, offshoot. Actually, Canada has an interesting one because the province of Quebec uses rules that are descended from the French Civil Code instead, which is a slightly different legal tradition. I don't know how much you know about the law, but common law uses precedent, whereas the French system is more the law as written. And the French do like writing things down because that's the way they do their language too. The French language is one of the languages in the world that is done evolving. They have decided what correct French is, and that is that. But sorry, I got off on a tangent.
Okay, so your issue isn't with the practice, as in like defending and attacking people based on the law. The idea is they're paying or they're charging too much to give that service, or the people that are like the defendant and the I can't think plaintiff are not the people that should be paying for the service, or like what's I'm just a little bit still.
Well, there
in the
aren't
dark.
there isn't a rule that, as far as I know, that exists that tells us what we're allowed to charge as businesses. Right? There are some industries have some regulations on what they're allowed to charge. Some industries don't. Let me give you another example. So if you look at Toronto is known as one of the most difficult places for a person to buy a home in the world, one of the most expensive housing markets. So real estate agents in Toronto work, they take a percentage of the sale, and there's usually a buying agent and a selling agent. So it doesn't really take much thought to figure out how that system would iterate, because they are incentivized to sell homes for the most amount of money and get people and force false scarcity and get people to bid on properties because they make more money if the house sells for more. So the price of a home in the market is artificially inflated, in part due to the way homes are bought and sold. But should that be the way it is? This is how I always approach it. Right? This is the way it is. Not saying it's right or wrong per se, but here's a problem that could come downstream from it. And if we agree it's a problem, how would we go about solving it? That's it, right? That's the approach.
Okay, so the problem
With lawyers?
the problem with lawyers is the cost.
Sure.
And the
there's no limit on the cost because they're the ones who write the laws. Why would they put a limit
lawyers write the laws?
Yeah, of course. Who are the legislators in our
I thought local government makes laws and then the lawyers.
Yeah, who are those folks who are elected to local government, Truth? What is the percentage of elected representatives that are lawyers?
I'm not familiar.
Very high. Very high. Most. Yeah, dude. Of course. Okay, why wouldn't you?
But I mean, like, I don't really see the issue with a lawyer being elected to serve. Like, I feel like that's actually better, really, because they understand.
Yes, they understand this priest class that they've created, right? They understand these magical words that you must, right? That they must decode for you. Like, you need to pay them for the privilege of that decoding, of course.
Well, you know, like law. I feel like. Okay, let me do my turn.
Yes, please. I think we're getting somewhere, though. I sound less stupid. Maybe not stupid, but less stupid. Yes. Hopefully, maybe.
I never thought you sound stupid.
I think I sound stupid all the time. No, I just don't mean to be so schmucky to lawyers, right? Because they think they're doing good. Not all of them think they're bad people. Not all of them are bad people. Not all of them walk around trying to make the world worse. I think just the system accidentally happens to, right? You're not a bad person if you believe in the law. Oh, no, I was going to leave. He wanted it now, though. I was going to leave.
Impatient.
You spawn with a 5. That's what you get.
So I just don't really know if I see the issue that you see with it.
Sure.
Because law can be complicated, right? There's so many like.
Well, okay, so hold on. That's an issue. Why is it
complicated?
What I absolutely think. Okay, cool. We may disagree, and that's cool. I think the fact that the law isn't able to be understood by the simplest of those that it governs is wrong. I think there is a duty to everyone to understand the rules of the game.
I think the issue stems from the fact that like life is complicated, right? There's so many uh, you know, different factors that lead into every single interaction that
Yep.
humans have, you know.
Yes.
There's so many different like civil behavior is like super multifaceted. So there's so many different factors that lead into what might we write a law about this on.
Yep.
So I think the fact stems from more of the idea that human behavior is complex, which you can't.
Okay.
You
No,
know,
no, listen.
we're really
Listen.
intelligent, so we
Agreed.
mm,
Agreed, but
mm,
there is not an ethic of simplicity. There is not a demand
mm.
of constant simplifying, right? In fact, there's a perverse incentive for the opposite. Yes? There is no reason for lawyers to not write extra magic words so more lawyers can get paid for more hours. There's a reverse incentive that says that we want to be able to have it, we should have it as complicated as possible because we are the only ones who can decode this.
The fact that it's complicated, I don't know if
You think it's a
that's
natural sort of emergent property of the system?
exactly
Yep.
because man, you can put what I'm saying in way better words. I love that. So like it's essentially okay, let me do my turn. I can't think while I'm playing.
This is hard stuff, dude. It's good. Oh, you're gonna fuck me, aren't you? You better not.
No,
You
I
fucked me
wouldn't
last
do that.
game.
I wouldn't do that.
He eats blue. Oh no!
Let's see if I can get it.
Maybe with 2 3v3s, it's possible. Low odds.
Oh no!
Okay, even lower odds. It's not over till it's over.
Oh no!
It's just like a 15.
Yes!
Oh my god, 40%?
Yes!
You didn't do that. Oh my god. What are the luck on this man?
That deserved a dab.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now he's happy. Okay, so yeah, let's not get distracted by a false disagreement, right? You're right.
Yeah.
The problems they are trying to solve are definitely complicated. My point simply is that they have the ability and intend to make them more complicated than they need to be for their own benefit.
Okay, why do you think that? Why do you think that lawyers try to
Because
make it
you
more
would.
complicated?
Because you would if you stood to gain.
Well, I
If you
mean,
were getting paid
I
by
don't
the
really see the
hour.
incentive. Yeah,
So,
no, I don't see the incentive because I mean, well, really, in a court of law, the time isn't taken on reading laws. The time is taken on viewing the evidence, is it not?
I mean,
Like you're
I'm
not
not necessarily talking about criminal law here, but
okay. Well,
we could
civil law.
definitely talk about criminal law too. How
Yeah.
unjust that one is. It's a big old matzo ball. Don't you break me, you motherfucker!
I mean, look at him. It's the best move. He's a 1 point guard on 2 bonuses.
Yeah, I guess. What a guy.
Yeah, so I don't really know if there is much of that incentive on making the laws more complicated because when I look at court
Mm-hmm.
cases, I don't see them reading out these long pages full of laws. I see them looking at all the specific evidence, talking to different witnesses, talking to different people involved in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if I can like maybe if you can explain better, I can understand.
I'm talking about my own like personal search. Okay, so why would it be? Okay, here's a good one. I'm getting divorced. Why would it be a system? Why would I want to involve the government in my business in any way?
To protect your oh gosh. Okay. Wait, 1 second, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta do it.
Do it.
Wait, can I? Good.
Do it, man.
I don't know if I want to trade in. I can get 2 10 sets. Yeah, I should trade in. Let's do it. Okay. Boom. Bada bang.
4 trade. That sucks.
Yeah. Oh no! We still got it. We still got it.
Get it again.
No!
Oh, boo. Now you lose too.
Yeah, I probably lose.
Now you lose too. Good. I'm glad you deserve it.
So, man, what was I gonna
So
say?
why would I want to pay someone to negotiate on my behalf? Right? Because my ability, ostensibly, because my ability to negotiate with my former spouse has broken down. We have failed to communicate. So the valuable service these negotiators provide, and they charge for it, is to facilitate a, quote, fair distribution of the marital assets. Makes sense, right? I can't talk to someone. So my situation is unique because we've been able to avoid dealing with these parasites because we don't hate each other and we just don't want to be married anymore. And that is such a blessing and such a relief for me, because imagine having your net worth be essentially cut in half because you're, right, because you're getting divorced, but it's not. It's actually, cut in a third because you also have to share it with these parasites that are going to suck, their fair share of the value out of the system. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you laugh, but I'm not saying anything that's untrue.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm laughing at the terminology. I love.
Yes,
I
of
love
course.
the terminology.
Of course.
Yeah.
And again, I do use some of this hyperbole for dramatic effect, but I'm also a dramatic man, right? I'm a passionate guy, and I talk about stuff, and I've thought about it. Maybe that's to your point about thought versus words. Maybe I've spent so much time in my own head on this concept that it groks for me immediately. Yeah, obviously, but no, not obviously, because you're not talking everyone else's language, Pete. You have to speak in order for communication to be effective. You have to consider the other person. Try your best to show them the courtesy that you understand them, so that meaning can be exchanged.
Yeah. Okay. So for the marriage thing, like I can talk on like where I don't agree with like the laws and stuff, but stay on topic with the lawyers. Like, man, okay, I gotta say, like marriage. Come on, like why on earth would you being in a relationship with someone would give you the right to their belongings, right? I don't
Well,
see
but
where that.
you can see how it used to make sense. It doesn't as
I don't see where it
much.
used to make sense. Can you explain?
Okay. So, all right, sure. So, think about hundreds of years ago. Okay, think about how dangerous society was. There were threats to people died regularly of infectious disease. People died regularly from dangerous accidents. People died regularly from getting murdered. So we live in a very, very safe time. So it's easy for us to forget that some of the consequences of those safeties are borne out in a lot of hard work done by a lot of hard people to socialize us out of our, tribalistic ape, I'm going to bash your skull in when I get drunk and angry sort of behavior. So one of the things that a married woman hundreds of years ago might have gained was safety and security, particularly of her body, particularly of the safety of her children, right? You have this home that you can be in, and what an awful deal for her if she sticks her neck out, has this man's children, and has no security, no societal safety net, right? If he just decides to say, you know what, I'm done with you, then where does she go, right? Because she spent all of her childbearing years, all of her productive value on raising this man's family, to have what? Nothing to show for it, right? So again, you can, with even that simple example, you can sort of see how this system would evolve from a place of necessity, at least originally, and might be archaic to the current model.
I think this just demonstrates how important it is to look deep into every single aspect of like I don't know, it's like society. Anything that doesn't make sense, there's probably a reason for it. And sometimes I'm sitting here like, what? That makes no sense. Why would
Sure.
anything be like that?
Sure.
But here you are explaining to me, and it makes perfect sense
Right.
on why we
Yes.
would have a system that came that way.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Let me.
How are you still alive? Why hasn't anybody killed you?
Red made a huge mistake by not killing me.
You deserve to die. Make him die now.
Oh man.
Well, that's what I mean, right? Our institutions are iterative and our institutions run on inertia. So part of the complexity that you talked about earlier is this sort of necessity where a system once in place has a vested interest in its own existence. But if that system is vestigial, then it's wasteful. And if that system is actively harmful, then it's dangerous to keep it around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why Black's not killing you. Maybe he wants, or Red's not killing you. He wants more cards.
Yeah, he should have killed me as soon as he killed you.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe it came from noticing that Arco is gonna win the game
easily.
and he needs more
Yes.
players.
Arco's going to win the game easily. Oh, boy.
Yeah, so man, I'm still having just a little bit of trouble on
Anything. Make me make sense. I appreciate the help. I do.
Of course.
I do. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so on where the issue comes in with lawyers, like it feels like they're a necessary part of our legal system.
Would you say they're a necessary evil?
I don't see them as evil either.
Okay,
no.
I'm joking. I use the necessary evil. Okay, look.
Yeah.
The principles I would design a system under would be, I've already stated, right? Simplicity, ease of understanding, right? I don't think we need a priest class to decode most laws that matter for most people. And I think that is a principle of fairness that should be thought of as universal. But obviously, those in the... Okay, go. Yeah, please.
Okay. I would say, like, look at how many laws we have, right?
Yes.
There's so many different situations which we need laws for, because if we didn't, then we would have a lot of unfairness and injustice, right? So we do need laws, and there's so many different areas. So we have so many laws, and then there's so many complexities to each situation. So we need to specify on each specific aspect of whatever.
Right. So I guess I'm a lot more anarchistic than that, right? I think that a society, a more just society, would function without the need of that liturgical complexity. Not liturgical. That litigious complexity, right? The best society is the one that polices itself. So the fact that we have a super complex legal system is a sign to me that things are bad, not a sign that things happen to be super complex, right? I think you and I might here disagree on the chicken and the egg, right? Which is the prime mover. I think the fact of the system being complicated is a sign that it is not functioning very well, because human society is ultimately self-policing in a lot of ways. And that is way more efficient every time. Like, do you know what a desire path is? Here's a great example. You ever heard the term desire path?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up on the screen. See if I can do that without totally ruining the video. Where did that go? That went here. I open up a browser. I did. Okay, so we're going to search for desire path. Maybe you can Google it too while I just show a picture for the stream. So we've all seen it, right, folks? We've all seen the desire path. This is you go through a courtyard in a public space, and there's no trail left by the design, but yet humans have walked this path because it is the most efficient line from point A to point B. Okay?
That's great.
Right. The
These
reason
these photos are so funny, bro.
Sure. And there's two ways society can approach the desire path, right? Because it fucks up the grass. There's two ways we can approach it. We can say that's not where the path should be. You are breaking the rules. Or you could say that's where the people want to walk. Let's pave it. And this metaphor applies to this conversation. Yes? Do you see what I'm trying to the connection I'm trying to make?
So you want simplicity in our laws,
Yes.
and that is what how okay. Uh, what is the desire path inside of the analogy then?
Okay. So people are going to do what they're going to do.
Mhm.
So a fair legal system, one of the elements of a fair legal system would be the pragmatic understanding of that truth. That despite the fact that if you break the law, you are a lawbreaker, you are a criminal, you are wrong, XYZ. Despite that fact, people are going to do what makes sense for them.
Mhm.
And if the law is unjust, then you end up with the desire path. You
Which
end up
would
with,
be
okay, a specific example would be the COVID mandates.
mhm.
So COVID mandates made sense early on because we straight up did not know what was going on. So, okay, this thing could kill us all. We have no clue. Might as well lock down. Sure. But the desire path is, people are gonna meet. People want to see their friends and family. People are gonna fuck, right? The government of Canada said that, if you're gonna have sex, just do it through a hole in the sheet, just for safety's sake, right? Like, let's be realistic. I'm
Did they
not.
really say that?
Yes, it's
No
absurd.
way.
Oh, the Americans. I think the Americans got off way easier than the Canadians vis-a-vis COVID restrictions because you guys are more free in that way. Right, you guys get to say, particularly Florida, as far as I heard, right? And not to harp on about this nonsense because I've definitely wasted a ton of breath on it, and people are sick of listening to me talk. But people are going to do what they're going to do, and if we as a society are stubborn and unable to recognize that simple truth, right? If we are going to be like King Canute and tell the tide not to come in because we are so powerful, well, that might work for a little while. But that's also called tyranny.
Okay, so in the analogy, the COVID mandate would be the pavement, and then the desire path would be people not following the COVID mandate, right?
Well, yeah, the COVID mandate would be putting up a fence on the desire path. Let's block these people from trampling the grass. We got to walk somewhere, guys. Come on.
So the desire path is now a knocked over fence and ruined grass.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I think
So
when the government acts in a way that doesn't suit its servants, the people, right? It's obvious and sticks out like a sore thumb. And you have the bootlickers and you have the people who, are always obedient. And it absolutely shocks me too. I think this might be a little bit because I'm an older person. The extent to which people seem to be more and more obedient to rules that don't make sense. I actually find that very scary and shocking. Like, as a responsible citizen of a society, I feel an obligation to obey rules that make sense. I do.
mhm.
I want to be a responsible human being. I want to be a considerate member of my society. I sincerely do. I want to contribute in a positive way. So if you give me, if you give me rules that don't make sense, I feel no obligation to follow them. And I'm a little shocked they exist. I'm a little shocked we put up with this bullshit.
Okay, so lawyers,
How we doing? Yeah.
like, like, I still, I'm sorry if I'm just being really slow here.
I don't think
I
you are. I
still
think
not seeing.
I also might be failing to communicate.
I just still don't see where the issue comes in with lawyers. I feel like they're necessary. Where how could they not be necessary?
Yeah, it's a matter.
We need people. There's so many laws.
We don't disagree. It's just a matter of degree. That's it.
Okay, so there's so many laws. People
Yep.
can't look at every single law in the law book
Right. But hold on. Why are there so many laws?
because there's so many complexities to like.
Why are there so many
you-
complexities?
Carter.
Ah, you gotcha. You did. Oh, you were on borrowed time. Come on.
Because there's so many complexities to the human experience. So
Yeah.
we need a lot of laws
Yes.
to make sure that there is justice
Do
in
we?
the world.
But we don't have justice in the world. We've utterly failed.
Well, a higher degree of justice.
More
than there
justice.
would be.
Okay, so that's it, right? This is the end of the spiel. Basically, is the proposition I'm trying to impart upon you is this: the self-interest of the profession allows for unnecessary overcomplication for their benefit, and that is where the fundamental immorality stems.
Okay, say that say that sentence again.
The self-interest
uh,
that the profession allows for, right? The fact that these people stand to gain from additional complexity is parasitic.
okay.
So yes,
And-
we agree there is a certain amount of complexity that is necessary.
Mhm.
And then there's a certain amount of additional that complexity that exists simply for the benefit of the lawyers. Yes? Or do you think that the law is fair?
I would need a demonstration that we do have unnecessary complexity. That
Sure. I'll
that
try and come up with something.
okay.
Okay. I think the law is very unfair, and I feel a moral obligation as a citizen to follow rules that are fair, and none to follow rules that aren't. That's basically the principle I'm operating on. I don't want to shit on people for their choices. I'm super, super schmucky about it, and I come off even more so. So, no, seriously, caveat here. I'm an idiot. I play video games on the internet, and this show is for entertainment purposes. So if you get some value out of some of the things I say and no value out of others, that's still a win for me. It's still an honor to be able to do this and speak publicly and have anyone enjoy my show at all, right? And I'm not trying to be a jerk to someone who's dedicated their life to anything that they see as valuable. And I know it is a overly simplistic take, but that's part of one of my big sort of philosophical underpinnings is particularly as a communicator. I'm big on trying to get the most pragmatic and efficient communication possible. So maybe I will lose a certain amount of precision, and certainly I will lose a certain amount of rapport because I'm so direct, right? And I get it wrong, and maybe that turns someone off, but at least I'm me. And at least I'm willing to work on these things that I see as very hard problems. Because there isn't really a place where a lot of the stuff is being discussed. And yeah, also maybe I'm just nuts.
Nuts isn't the right word.
Yeah. A little. You got to be a little nuts, Truth. To sit here making Risk television and having philosophical conversations, my friend. You got to be a little out there.
Yeah.
I like it though. I really think the strange type of TV show I've made here is it's such a me thing, and I just never in a million years would have guessed that anyone would want to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things like that happen.
I suppose.
Yeah. So I think where I think that the where I there would be some friction
Yeah,
is on the idea that lawyers do substantially benefit from additional complexity in the laws,
sure.
and that there is unnecessary additional complexity in the
Yeah,
laws.
yeah. Well, to the first, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't show you
Mhm.
without doing some research. But to the second, I would imagine that would seem obvious, though. Like the
Okay.
idea that um, they would stand to benefit from additional complexity. Like, do you not sort of see my metaphor of a priest class, or do you not agree? Like
Well,
the idea that you are paying these people a very high hourly rate by the hour to decode documents that they essentially wrote using their own language. That sounds like, translated Latin to get the um, right to use a metaphor from the Middle Ages.
um, oh, I I feel like the when you hire a lawyer,
Yep.
you're not really reading into the laws, and like we're like if you're saying lawyers get paid by the hour, and if there's more complexity in the laws, it will take longer to review the laws. Is that
Certainly.
the idea?
Partially.
Okay, so it's not that you'll get more court cases from the. Is that part of the issue?
Oh yeah,
You're
it's
saying like
both. No, it's absolutely
okay,
both. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be both?
yeah, okay, so I mean, I guess I guess I could see that.
Hmm.
Man, I can't believe Carter won this game. Come
He
on, man.
deserves it. He deserves it. He worked the hardest,
Ah.
right?
No.
That's the libertarian ethic for you. He deserves the win.
Oh man. Um. Yeah. Okay. I could see where like somebody could say like I feel like I've been wronged here because I see this law, but doesn't it seem like most of the like cases in different like different court cases stem from more of like people understanding which law was and it being quite simple laws actually
All
because
right.
I feel like the ones
How
that are
about another
complex get
example?
swept under the rug.
How about another
Mhm.
example?
Yeah,
Speeding.
let's hear it.
Do you drive yet?
I do drive, yes.
Okay. Do you drive too fast?
No, I do not.
You know what happened when I was 17?
What?
I drove too fast.
Oh.
You know how I stopped driving too fast? I didn't. I just pay for it. It's illegal. I drive too fast. But so does
Huh.
everybody else. There's the desire path, right? The people are doing the thing that they are going to do. Everyone on the highways in Toronto drives 20 kilometers over the speed limit because
Mhm.
that's the speed they want to drive at. That's the speed we agree as a society to break the rules. Okay. Does that mean the
Okay.
rules are unjust?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yes, it does. Simple example. Game three?
Man.
You got
Yeah,
one more,
game 3.
you got one more game in you?
I have 50 more games in me.
Oh
This
boy.
is great.
Okay. Well, what time is it? I got to, I can play for one, maybe two more.
All right.
Set it up. I will be right back.
Awesome. Zombie apocalypse on Turkey with progressive cards.
Did you accept,
Fog.
did you accept my friend request?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
Cannot see the game still. Give me the
What's
code.
that?
Give me the code again.
I haven't made it yet. I'm
Oh, okay.
setting it up
Okay.
right now.
Cool.
Blizzard's on.
Everybody.
Line says off. Active behavior on. Auto. Progressive. Balance blades. Perfect. All right. It's going to be P, Z, V, and 8.
Easy. B. Okay. Let's see who joins. Okay. So, I was using the example of speeding to indicate a very simple way in which our laws are unjust. So I think the place I would go now is I would ask you a question. What would the process of making the laws more just actually look
Uh, the people,
like? Okay.
people making the laws.
Right. Right. Well, good. I think you and I are more on the same page than we're not.
So I think with the lawyer thing, it's the your issue stems more from the laws rather than the practice of being an attorney, right?
They are victims of a bad system.
Okay, so the issue is with these laws shouldn't be made this way. They shouldn't be made by the people who benefit from them.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotcha.
That
Okay.
is a obvious conflict of interest.
But
But
lawyers are still very necessary,
and
right? You would
yes,
agree?
and technically skilled at their profession, which is
Okay.
absolutely always going to be necessary on some level. Yes.
I I have to say I think I agree with you there.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, I can't see a big issue with that
Yeah. You
train of
just you
thought, you
just
know?
you just say it a lot more diplomatically.
All lawyers are dumb. They all need to die.
No, 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 no. None of that.
Okay.
Everyone deserves to make a living and have a healthy and happy life. All right, we got one question here from XC Dude, also known as Chad, also known as the victor of the Boston game. Why is your name Truth? Truth
Because that is my name. I am the truth.
is your given name.
Is that a good enough answer?
I thought I was actually surprised. I thought it was a handle.
Yeah, no, that's my real name.
It's your given name. Very cool, man.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Let's do it up. We doing fog here?
Yes, it is fog.
Turkey fog. So classic turkey progressive set. Aries settings. You ever know Aries?
I've heard the name. I'm having trouble
Aries
remembering
was
this one.
one of the big sort of free for all card carrying free for all guys, along with me, back in the day when the latter, particularly the top 100 was all 1v1.
Hmm.
So I think Aries got something like absurd, like rank 23 playing zombies, which was back then, right? It was very, very hard to do. Okay, how do I play this? I forget with zombies. I suck at zombies, man.
It's even harder when you're trying to have a like very detailed conversation and track where everybody's at.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm happy to lose. It's okay. I got nothing to prove to you. I'll tell you that. How's your take on the new tournament season? You did very well in your
Uh,
first game, yeah?
yeah, I got 20 points, so that was
Not
3 bounties.
not too shabby.
Yeah, that's 20 points, right?
It is. Are you
Okay.
have you done any practice on round 2?
I have not. What is round 2?
Moonstone prog caps. Yeah, I sure hope people suicide into other people and not the Beatman, because I'm ready to play for 8 fucking hours if I have to.
Dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one, I think. You know what I'm
Oh,
planning on doing? I'm planning on catching up on my YouTube comments.
YouTube comments?
Yeah, well,
Oh, while playing?
there's just too many, right? And like I feel not obligated to respond to people, but like they reach out and like they give you a little piece of themselves, and it's like, well, you know, they ask you
Oh.
interesting questions. No, like, hey man, like why wouldn't I want to respond to that stuff? There's so much
Yeah.
negativity out there that you could respond to. Why would I not want to respond to the positive stuff, right? So that's my
Yeah.
thinking. Like I've really sort of I've become a lot more grateful since coming back from Costa Rica about the situation I find myself in. Like it's really absurdly lucky that anyone would enjoy the show, let alone so many. So I might as well honor that and try and be as appreciative and give back as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, we are really privileged to live in a society where we can have fun doing what we love instead of mining in a coal mine and have a happy, healthy lifestyle.
It's bizarre. I never would have
Yeah.
thought that this would be the circumstance I find myself in,
Hmm.
but very
Right.
grateful.
I have another prompt, another question
Yeah,
for you.
I figured you dead.
Oh my gosh. Did you see that?
Yeah, I was on the receiving end.
Oh man.
I didn't just see it; I took it.
Was that
Nice.
from 4?
Nice. It was. It was a large stack. Nice to know that you're on the other side, though. That's the biggest territory on the board, isn't it? That one sees everything.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So what do I do here? I don't like it,
Okay.
Truth. Don't like it at
I'll
all.
let you take your turn first.
Oh, it's just a single attack. But give me the prompt. What do you got?
Okay, so given my name is Truth, what would you
Yes.
say truth is? Not me. The concept of truth.
Like
What is truth?
like epistemology?
Yeah, okay, so it's a multifaceted. So
Yep.
first, what is truth? Defining, like, what is the characteristics of truth? And then second, what is the methodology to find it? Like, what methodology do we use to say this is truth, right?
Okay.
This is true.
Okay. So I'm a Cartesian skeptic.
Okay.
So I don't believe that we can know truth.
In all cases, you think that it's impossible to know truth.
Yeah, I think all we have is a best fit model.
Mm-hmm.
We have probabilities, we have likelihoods. We never touch base reality through our senses. It's not actually possible for us to do that. How about, even in case you know what I'm talking about, how about I define Cartesian skepticism for the audience? So Descartes was a 17th century, maybe 16th century French philosopher, famous mathematician, famous philosopher, founder of this sort of modern field of rationalism and epistemology. And he uses the famous cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
Therefore I am.
Yeah. Which is according to him, the only thing you can know for sure. You can know that you exist. But you can't really know anything for certain else because you might be being deceived by your senses, by lies, by in his thought experiment, he uses an evil demon, right? And if anyone in the audience has ever had a psychedelic experience, we know just how much our senses are dialed in to utility. We experience a fraction of the visible light spectrum. That's what we see. We experience a fraction of the audible sound spectrum. That's what we hear. And XYZ with all of our senses. And that is just one of the ways that our senses are unreliable. So I don't pretend to be able to know anything for certain other than my own existence. And I think that's actually a liberating position because
Interesting.
yeah, because it allows me to take in new information and adapt to changing circumstances and learn from my mistakes and continue to refine that model of belief, that model of truth, whatever word you want to use, understanding that model of think about the quantum superposition, right? The idea that a particle isn't in the same place or isn't in a specific place until it is observed, right? The observer effect. Once you examine a belief, then it kind of locks into a concrete or finite state. But just like the quote from Socrates, right? The unexamined life is not worth living. I would say the unexamined belief doesn't really exist. So, and I don't like the word belief because it's kind of a dirty word to me. It's faith based and it's the closest, the way I try to approach it's the closest best fit model to understanding the truth without ever being able to fully understand the truth. Is that a good answer?
I love that. Yeah. But the one thing that I would ask, if we can't know truth, then like what is it? Like, can you kind of put it into a definition so we can understand what we can't know?
Sure. The fundamental quality of base reality.
And what would that mean?
True. That's my definition of truth. What is the
Right.
fundamental quality of base reality?
So, not sure what what you mean by the fundamental quality of
Sure.
base
So
reality? Like,
fundamental means at the deepest level. Quality means the experiential nature.
mhm,
And base reality means if we are living in a simulation or a multiverse,
mhm,
whatever the root of that universe, multiverse, is. If we could
mhm,
experience that. So there's a term in Phil of Mind called qualia. So a qualia is a specific sense experience. Your taste of sweet, say, versus mine. You have a certain
mhm.
quality. I have a certain quality. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Reg, buddy. You want to talk philosophy? So it's possible and likely that your qualia differs from mine in a significant way.
Mhm.
So there's a chance, there's a probable chance that your experience of sweet and mine are similar enough in the sense that we are able to communicate about the same thing,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
You taste something sweet, I taste something sweet, you see something red, I see something red. We agree that it is red, which likely indicates that the referent of red exists in base reality, but not for sure, because there's no
Okay.
way for you to know for sure.
So essentially, what you're doing is you're saying truth is something that is outside of. So there's the external world, and
Yep.
we can't verify for certain that what we perceive. In fact, we have good reason to believe that what we perceive is not representative of the external world. So I would ask, what is the point of defining truth as that if you can't do anything with it, right? I feel like if we're gonna define truth, we need to find a useful definition.
Sure, I like that. So, what is the
So
pragmatic definition of truth?
so as you said, we only have like a best model. So why not define truth as that best model that we have, right?
That's fair. That is
Wouldn't
the
that
useful.
be
That I would say that is the colloquial and useful definition of truth.
Mhm.
It is. It's just not the
Okay,
philosophical one
right?
because the one
And
I'm
then
because the one I'm using is more true in a way.
okay,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
so I guess what I would ask is um are like okay, let's say that we we have a truth claim. We have a
Yes.
proposition.
Yes.
And we say this is what the external world is like. You're saying we can't verify that. So we could be right, but we are likely wrong. Is that what you're saying? Or we can't verify that we're right.
Sorry, I'm looking at my cards right now to try and
Okay,
figure out
go ahead. Yeah.
where everyone is.
Mhm.
Okay, so is there someone up there? All right, we're good. Ask again.
Okay, so the what I'm asking is the what you're saying is that we can't verify that we're right or we are not right and we can never be right. Like we could be right, but we just can't verify.
Again,
Like on a
it's a
proposition.
matter of degree. There are
Okay.
nested levels of more right, and that is asymptotic to infinity.
Okay. Oh, I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay, so the
Yeah.
asymptote is the line on a
Uh,
graph that continues to approach infinity but never reaches it. So
mhm.
rather, it continues to approach zero but never reaches it. So you never
Yeah.
hit the line, but you
Mhm.
always get closer and closer to it. So my understanding of a telescope is with a more powerful telescope, you're able to see farther outwardly. My
Mhm.
understanding of a microscope is with a more powerful microscope, you're able to see further inwardly. But so far, we haven't reached a wall, that which past we cannot see. Right? There seems to just be technological limitations, which seems to indicate that the universe is infinite in both the macro and the micro. So if that is true, then our physical model of the universe is a best fit model given the information we have at the time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And the more information you get, the better fit your model is, but it never reaches capital T truth. It never reaches base reality, fundamental base reality. It's still just a model.
Okay, so I would ask, do you believe that the cogito is not fundamentally true? Like it isn't representative of the external world?
No, it is. It is. You know that
It
you
is?
exist. You know for
Okay.
sure that you exist.
So that is the one truth. You agree with that is the one
I,
truth that we
that's
can
why I said
verify.
I am a Cartesian
Okay,
skeptic. Yes.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hmm. All right.
It is the only
Yep.
thing I know for sure that is true is that I exist. More or less.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of things that I've heard you say and I haven't fully understood, and I'm now completely understanding
Right.
your point, like where you stand.
Yes.
Because it's really easy to listen to somebody on the internet and just say like, "Oh, I understand. This is what they think. This is silly," you know. But as soon as you start talking to them and you ask questions, you can fully understand what their actual
Oh, I'm silly.
stance
I'm
is.
certainly
Yeah.
not denying that I'm a silly man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of time
Oh,
to think about this stuff, and that is. What is he doing? No, don't you take. Oh, man. I'm not going to tell. Oh, man.
we all know. We all know.
Okay, you're watching it too? Okay. Oh, boy. All right.
There's a reason why he got 7 troops.
No,
I mean,
fair
8
enough,
troops.
fair enough. But I mean, like at some point, the zombies are gonna like totally fuck up your shit. I love it though. I love the attempt. It's almost like we've never seen this before. Can I take a
It
quick
works
look?
sometimes.
Can I take a quick? Does it actually? I guess I've never
Yeah,
played this with Blizz.
yeah.
It does kind of
With-
choke it up a bit.
yeah, if you get the right blizzards, you can use that.
Hold some bonuses, huh? Good for you, man. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it all works out for him.
All right, I'm gonna break him.
You're the man. Yeah, like everything is mundane to yourself, right? Everything is banal. You are normal, and like people say all sorts of things. People take all sorts of pieces of what I've said. Everyone gets their own unique little different slice, right? And I think one of the goals of my work is to try and make that slice as representative of who I am as possible. I aim to have an authentic me shine through, despite the fact that that becomes harder and harder as the size of the work success grows, as the as the fact that you do become derivative of yourself when making art. Like the second album, the third album might be better received, might be worse, but I've already gone through my sort of original hero's journey. So now that I am a quote top player, what is the ethos of the show? What is the path we are on? How do I keep it interesting for me and for the viewer?
Hmm.
Tough stuff to mull over, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
What is truth
I
to you? How do you define it?
yeah, that's what I was about to lead into. Yeah. I think the only useful and really like, yeah, I think the only useful definition is the best model, like you said, to fit reality. So if we say the Earth is round, that's a proposition,
Yep.
and the only way that it's useful to say that's true isn't in like the idea that this represents something that can make predictions and can make uh and we can use to okay, let me restart. We can use this to make predictions and we can use this to fulfill goals. So we have a goal of let's say putting a satellite into orbit, and we believe the proposition that the Earth is round, which has a lot of inner like propositions, I guess you could say. But we understand the concept that the Earth is round and it exerts this degree of gravitational force. And we can say those things are true because we can use them to fulfill a goal that is consistent
And they're measurable
throughout the future.
Yeah.
Yes,
And we
exactly.
have measurements to confirm. Yeah, well, one thing people seem to love when they talk about science is that science is a method. The scientific method is a method of truth, and in its very nature, I love to bring this up. Scientific method is absolutely not a method of truth. It is in fact a method of falsibility. We
Yeah.
are able to learn through science what isn't true, which is still extremely valuable and useful, but it's not a method of truth.
I feel like
Maybe by your
okay.
definition, it's a method of good enough truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and again, like the whole semantic word games horse shit that philosophers get into is exhausting. Are you killing this guy? No. You moved though. You moved a bunch.
I moved, yes. Okay, yeah,
Did you
so
run away? He ran away. That's what happened.
did something.
We're getting too much information from the VC.
Yeah. So, to say that that science is a method of falsehood. Is that the term you used?
Falsibility.
Falsibility.
Yep.
I feel like falsibility is in turn truth, right? If you can
Yeah,
falsify
yeah.
a bunch of
According
non-true
to your
things.
definition, right? It is the scientific method is the method of useful truth.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, we agree. Oh, baby, the zombies got him. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's what happens when you take bonuses and prog zombies, folks. And you randomly hit stacks. Sometimes they do your dirty work for you. Oh, my God. And here I was thinking I was shit at zombies. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Again, pretty much the same approach. I just, because I have the philosophy background, I tend towards extremely specific language.
Mm.
So you really, one of the skills in having a conversation with anyone is quickly figuring out what level they're on, so that the meaning is exchanged and as much meaning is exchanged as possible. You know, rapport is key here. This is another thing we see. I made a post in my philosophy forums about how intersubjectivity is breaking down. And I think one of the key ways this is occurring is technologically. Because rapport, talking face to face with another person, is how we evolve to communicate. And for the very vast majority of human history, up until very recently, it's been the vast majority of communication, and then some written. But now, you know, that we are increasingly more and more isolated. Like, at least you and I are sort of talking face to face. Like, I can see his face. I can see some rapport, right? That we are having a verbal conversation, but, you know, truth is thousands of kilometers away, and you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no! Oh,
Pete!
no!
Oh, he didn't kill you. What?
He thought he miscounted. He didn't realize.
Ooh.
Finley Pope 27. Oh boy.
You die?
Do I?
Let's see.
Now, red hit a bunch of my positions, but I saw this one coming a mile away. Saw this one coming a mile away, Truth Powers. You don't get me that easy. Maybe you get me, but you don't get me that easy, sir.
Let's see.
They're all hunting the Peteman. What is it about Risk that hooked you?
Oh man, that's a great question.
Yeah, the people,
That
right?
is
To
such
some
a
extent,
great question.
you like who you're hanging out with. They're interesting people, right?
Yeah, I mean, man, the game itself is not the only factor in okay, wait, hold on, let me try to kill you.
Oh, you gotta find me first, fucko.
Oh no.
Did you go the
Where
wrong
are
way?
you?
Did you go the wrong way? Eat it. Taste it. I hope Finley kills you now.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh no, you're too big.
You thought I was weak.
Oh man.
You thought I was
Okay.
weak.
Well, there's that.
It sure is.
Well, you can't kill me. I still have like 5 other positions. So
Sure you do. You didn't spend all your troops to do that and look around the whole board. Here's the problem, though. Finley is going to kill you, and then he's going to kill me. Oh, maybe not.
He's not gonna
Oh,
kill
truth
me.
powers. What's going to happen? This game's
Good
spicy.
question.
Where's Magenta, by the way? You wouldn't mind tipping me off on that one, would you?
Bad idea to tip you off.
Fair enough. I'll have to do my own searching.
But I can tell you, I do have more than 2 positions.
You're lying?
What do you mean? My name is Truth. I've never.
That's fair enough. Have a conversation about lying immediately after the conversation about truth.
Yeah, the other day, actually yesterday, I was in a game with JJ. We were playing stupid true random settings.
Yes.
JJ bro.
Yeah.
And he decided not to break me. He was like, Truth, you're not gonna break me, right? And I was like, of course. I would never do that. He should not have trusted me. It was great. Oh, Pete, you messed up.
You think?
Yeah.
Because now you have cards and you're going to kill me? You're going to need cards to kill me. Do you have it? Because I got a set, baby. You're going to die to Finley. If you don't have cards. Let's see it. Does he have cards, folks? This is the progressive end game. It always comes down to this. Do they have the cards? Looks like he doesn't. I think Finley kills you.
They can't kill me.
You sure?
I'm sure.
I think they kill you.
Oh, he doesn't have a set either.
Okay. Well, this is either going to work out great for me or not so good. Good luck, fellas. We're going in. Yeah. All right. Where is Truth? Where's Finley Pope 27?
Dab.
Nah, not enough, eh? Oof.
You bet it's pink.
Too bad.
Oh, he has a set. Ah, no.
Smell you later. Oh, did you go the wrong way?
He could see my last stack, and he didn't. He literally put his entire army on my last stack.
But didn't
And
take it?
What? Dude!
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
Wow.
He literally had the kill on me. Okay. Yes!
I can't believe it.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, you're a lucky man. That's why. That's all it is. No skill.
No skill, huh?
Just luck. You know what I like to ask everyone? You kind of led with it at the beginning, but I like it because it's kind of like the whole "what do you do?" question. You know, you're at a party, someone's like, "What do you?" Well, maybe you don't. This is more of a adult thing, but like, if someone were to ask you, "Are you good at Risk?" How would you respond?
I'd say yeah. I'm good at Risk.
Just yeah.
Yeah.
Just honest.
I'd say,
yeah.
I'd say yeah. I've played Risk for a long amount of time. I'd say I'm decent at Risk. Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
a simple answer.
True.
I mean, is it wrong?
Happens to be true. That's all it needs to be. Ooh,
I mean, what would you say? What would you say?
Oh, I've gone over this one a ton. The the like in the beginning stage of the channel when I introduced myself, I was like, I'm a grandmaster or I'm a top 10 player.
Mm.
And I said I was a progressive specialist for a while, and then I settled on top player because it's 2 words. It's true, and it's the minimum amount of ego and trying to. It's the most accurate with the least amount of words and the least amount of ego, basically. Because I'm trying to introduce myself, and I don't spend a ton of time telling people how I am, how they should be, right? I mostly just narrate my thoughts. This is what I'm thinking, and sometimes it is correct. More often than not, it's correct, which is, I think, part of the appeal, right? You want to watch someone who is competent, but also somewhat entertaining.
Yeah.
You think you got this win?
I think so. Let's see. I could be wrong. Yeah, I got it.
He knows where he's going. Let's see. I believe in you.
Yeah, I got this one. I should not have had this one. Pink should have had it.
Think they screwed up?
Okay.
Good game. Good game, man.
Man, I can't believe he didn't kill me with that 11.
Yeah, well, that's the way the old cookie crumbles. Sorry, I can't stay for any longer. We'll watch
All
you
good.
clean up the zombies. I do love having these types of conversations with people. They're sort of my favorite thing in the whole world. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Super
no, I
interesting
enjoyed
to
it.
dig into your own beliefs, thoughts, ideas, because there's a very good chance you're wrong
Mhm.
about almost everything. And that's why I talk about these things as a model and not a, you know, not anything sacred or something that I, hinge my entire identity on, but rather just trying to be flexible and open to always learning more because things do change. And let's remind folks to please give Truth a follow. I'm going to link his YouTube and Twitch, and anything else you might like to promote here. Here would be a good chance to go for it.
Yeah, no, I just have YouTube and Twitch for Risk. That's all that is necessary. But thank you so much, Pete.
Oh, buddy.
That's really nice of you.
Yeah. Oh, come on. This was on hiatus for too long. I'm going to try and fit more of the podcast style conversations in because it really does help me connect with people, which I love doing. And also there are so many great people in this Risk community. I really like to show the fun of the game, but also, you know, I wouldn't be here if not for having received such a warm welcome, and I really try to give that experience to others as much as I can.
Very respectable.
We do what we can. We do what we can. We are imperfect and very, very lucky to occupy the place that we do, right?
Yeah.
Beyond lucky, I would say. This whole story is now easily in the sort of realm of surreal for me. Like kids growing up thinking of content creators as celebrities or heroes or whatever, and like for the life of me, dude, I'm still just a guy playing video games, you know?
Yeah.
Where does he split? You just took a lot of ground. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does it hold? Yeah, the zombies don't go ham, eh? So you
I
get
don't
this
think
game in
so.
like 2 more turns. Nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do see the guest win on their own show. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where you go in Risk. I figure you're probably going to earn a title at some point. Love to see what form it takes. What are your What are your all time sort of favorite? Like maybe not your grind settings, but what are your are you a caps guy? Are you a zombies guy? Do you really mix it up? What do you love to play the most?
Ah, mm, I feel like the best category is just say free for all, you know?
Cool.
Um,
Anything free for all.
yeah, 1v1 is like it's like okay, but not my favorite. Um,
1v1's eating your vegetables. You got to do it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a very accurate way to put
Yeah.
it. Um, I think I think it's just the rank grind right now for me that I'm just really enjoying. Other than losing, I hate losing.
As do we all, right? I can identify with that.
Yeah. So I think really right now I have to say my favorite settings are gonna be the Europe Advanced with caps, just because it's the one that I'm really focusing on. But other than that, classic fixed is always great.
The roots,
So
the
yeah,
origin of the game. Yeah,
the
man.
origins. Yes, that's right.
I love classic
So
fix because it's way more psychologically deep than it appears. And if you can get that
yeah.
solid read on someone, you're like, yeah, he's gonna suicide. How do you know? With just numbers and colors. How could you possibly know?
It's-
But you can sort of see why the most popular modes are popular. Like EU Advanced
mm,
Caps is the current, like one of the current big meta settings, because that map is absolutely glorious, and the
mm.
blizzards choke it up, and the caps choke it up in different ways, enough different ways every time that each game plays out so differently, and it really lets you leverage all of your skills as a top player. That Here we go, smashy smashy time. You show those zombies what for.
Man, how often does that happen to you where you accidentally click before you hit enter? It happens to me way too much.
It's gotta follow the
You know what
rhythm,
I'm talking
bro.
about?
Yeah, you got too excited. Well, thank you, sir. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Whew.
I hope this
Yeah,
encapsulates sort of what you were going for.
it was great. Yeah, I learned a lot from
Good.
your positions and stuff. And I have to say, I pretty much from this conversation, I pretty much am with you on most of these
Yeah.
topics. So
Well, and even on the stuff that you're not, like, show me where I'm wrong, right? I love that too, because then my model's better. So thank you, Truth Powers. I wish you a ton of success in your future. I think you have a bright one ahead of you. You're a cool dude.
thank you.
It's a honor to get to know you better, sir.
Absolutely
All right, go follow Truth.
cool.
Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you found some of it fun and entertaining, maybe even a little bit educational and informative. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to Free Pete, which is where I will be doing the Waiting on Your Best Behavior podcast, along with a bunch of other things that I'm thinking of creating for all of you. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you, Truth, for all of you on the path to world domination. Good games and good luck.